It feels like they walked away untouched, doesn't it? They betrayed you. They lied. And now they appear to be out there living their best life, completely unaffected, while you are left gathering the shattered pieces of your heart. It feels unfair, but don't be deceived by the appearance. Carl Jung revealed a chilling law of the human mind. Whatever is denied will return to consume the soul. The moment they betrayed you, they didn't free themselves. They unknowingly set in motion a quiet collapse. They cut off their only tether to reality. And no one can disrupt the balance of the universe without facing consequences. You are experiencing the sharp sting of healing, but they are beginning to feel the cold emptiness of decay. Don't trust the smile. In this script, I will take you inside their mind to expose the ruin they are hiding and show that the moment they lost you was the precise moment they sabotaged themselves. The moment they think they have won is actually the point where the collapse begins. It starts with a dangerous misjudgment, the belief that betrayal gives them power. In truth, it triggers a process they can never control. To them, loyalty is not a moral principle, but a variable to adjust according to their immediate emotional needs. When they decide to betray you, it is not an act of strength or independence. It is a desperate attempt to regulate their internal instability. They believe that creating chaos in your life will temporarily quiet the chaos inside them. They assume your attachment is stronger than your self-respect. This is the key miscalculation. This is why betrayal rarely appears dramatic at first. It often happens quietly during an ordinary day without warning. Viewing you through projection, they assume you are as dependent on them as they are on you. They expect betrayal to freeze you, not awaken you. This arrogance often manifests in familiar ways. You discover a lie or find evidence of a third party. You confront them expecting shame or an apology. Instead, they stare at you with a blank, almost bored expression. They might say, "You're overreacting," or "I did this because you were distant." They are not afraid of losing you because they don't believe you are capable of leaving. They see this moment as a negotiation, not a breakup. They wait for you to bargain. But what if the moment you thought you were being tested was actually the moment they misjudged you entirely? This arrogance is not confidence. It is a symptom of a rigid, defensive mind that cannot accept the reality of others. Jung described this as unconsciousness, where the individual cannot distinguish between internal desires and external reality. The narcissist sees you only as an extension of their ego, an object to reflect their influence. They cannot imagine a scenario where the object chooses to detach. They believe the game is under their control because they refuse to acknowledge that you are a separate player with your own free will. They view betrayal as a way to refresh the power dynamic. As intimacy deepens, their inner emptiness resurfaces. Betrayal spikes emotional voltage, giving them a fleeting sense of significance as they watch you react. Immediately after the betrayal, they often feel not guilt, but a rush of adrenaline. They feel clever. They check their phone, seeing your unread messages, asking where you are. In that moment, they feel like a grandmaster moving a pawn. They think they are controlling everything while they secure supply elsewhere. They smile at the screen, believing they have outsmarted the system of human connection. But every system that seems hacked is usually already crumbling inside. They fail to notice the structural damage. They are like someone setting fire to their own foundation to prove they can withstand heat, unaware they are burning the only shelter they have. They assume the structure will hold because it has held before. They assume you will forgive because you have forgiven before. But every structure has a breaking point, and betrayal strikes the core of trust. Jung emphasized that the psyche seeks balance. Extreme actions invite extreme reactions. The narcissist believes they are exempt. They think they can act without consequences because they have spent a lifetime avoiding accountability. They justify betrayal as survival, blaming you or claiming they deserved it. This rationalization shields them from immediate guilt but blinds them to the inevitable fallout. They believe they are moving a piece on a board, but they are tipping the board over. The control they think they have is precisely when they lose their grip on reality. They initiate a separation process they cannot handle. They think they are discarding you for later use, but they are cutting off their emotional oxygen. The narcissist's confidence in this moment is tragic, like a sleepwalker stepping off a cliff thinking they can fly. They focus on the immediate thrill of betrayal, the secret, the new attention, the dominance, while ignoring the collapse approaching. The moment a narcissist betrays you, their ego reaches a breaking point. Though they believe they act in self-interest from a Jungian view, they are sabotaging their own fragile ego. The narcissist lacks a resilient self. They have an inflated, brittle ego, a defense to hide their disconnection from their true self. Betrayal triggers massive internal misalignment. Jung taught that psychological development involves integrating personality, aligning actions with inner truth. The narcissist, by nature, lives divided, a false self for the world and an undeveloped true self hidden away. Betraying someone who offered authentic love attacks the possibility of their own healing. You are a link to reality, a source of stability. By destroying this connection, they remove scaffolding holding up their false self. They mistake the temporary release from indulgence for strength, but it weakens their psyche. This fracture leaks, first in behavior, then in control. After betrayal, they might return home jittery, talking too fast, criticizing minor details like how dishes were loaded or clothes were worn. This is not simple moodiness. This is the vibration of a structure beginning to shake. They betrayed someone who held them together, and now their ego trembles. They try to stabilize by projecting chaos onto you. By betraying, they compromise the quality of validation they relied on. They trade the deep, steady validation of a committed partner for the fleeting excitement of secrecy or conquest. They see the trade as profitable, valuing intensity over depth. But the ego cannot thrive on intensity alone. It needs continuity. Betrayal fractures continuity. They rewrite history, convince themselves you were flawed, and suppress the truth of your loyalty and kindness. Jung noted suppression of truth drains psychic energy. They feel temporarily energized by betrayal but are running on adrenaline and defense mechanisms, which is unsustainable. The ego needs a coherent narrative to survive. By breaking trust, they fracture the coherence of their own life story. They are the good person who did a bad act. To resolve this, they project the blame onto you, deepening disconnection from reality. Every narcissist carries a core wound, a deep sense of inadequacy and shame. Their personality hides this wound. Betrayal is often a reaction to feeling seen or vulnerable. They betray to create distance, but in doing so, they expose themselves to the shame they fear. They lie, manipulate, and hide. This shows a weak ego. A strong ego can confront truth, end a relationship with integrity, or handle guilt honestly. With the stabilizing presence removed, you, the narcissist, is exposed to their unconscious. They drift into delusion to avoid facing their actions. They think they are breaking you to build themselves, but they remove the load-bearing wall of their own psyche. Betrayal is a stress test their mind cannot pass. It forces them to lean on a persona already under strain. The control they feel is illusory. They react to their inability to sustain connection. The act of betrayal is the moment their vehicle leaves the road. They may feel the thrill of speed, but they are out of control. The breaking point is when the act occurs. They align with deception and sever their connection to the self. Jung warned that the shadow grows darker the more it is fed by lies. The narcissist's mask begins to crack. In Jungian psychology, the persona is the social mask. For a healthy person, it is functional. For a narcissist, it is their identity. There is no self beneath it, only shame and suppressed instincts. Betrayal burdens the persona, forcing them to maintain the image of perfection while hiding treachery. The shadow strengthens as deception grows. Their behavior turns erratic. Small questions trigger disproportionate reactions. Insomnia, anxiety, impulsive behavior, paranoia appear. Fear, the enemy of the persona, leaks into their life. You begin to see the person behind the mask, the calculated cruelty, the emptiness, the lack of empathy. They exhaust themselves, becoming irritable and intolerant. They blame you for the strain of their own betrayal. Internal fracturing begins. They lose control of the narrative. The mask peels away, revealing a void beneath. They realize they depended on you as a mirror, a self-object. You reflected their worth, validated their existence, and stabilized them. Betrayal shatters this mirror. The new supply cannot replicate you. You had learned their specific needs, anxieties, and flaws. A new person cannot provide the same reflection. The narcissist feels the emptiness of a blurred reflection. They are exposed to shame, panic, and instability. The mirror you were is broken. Without it, they lose identity, orientation, and connection to reality. It seems like they walked away untouched, doesn't it? They betrayed you. They lied. And now they appear to be out there living their best life, completely unfazed, while you are left to gather the pieces. It feels unfair, but don't be deceived by appearances. Carl Jung revealed a chilling law of the human mind. Whatever is denied eventually returns to consume the soul. The moment they betrayed you, they didn't free themselves. They unknowingly triggered a quiet collapse. They cut the only tether to their own reality. No one disrupts the balance of the universe without paying a price. You are feeling the sharp sting of healing, but they are starting to feel the cold numbness of decay. Don't trust the smile. Here, we are taking you into their mind to reveal the ruin they are hiding, and to show that the moment they lost you was the exact moment they destroyed themselves. The moment they believe they've won is where the collapse begins. It starts with a dangerous miscalculation. They think betrayal gives them control, but in reality, it sets in motion a process they cannot stop. To them, loyalty isn't a moral standard, but a tool to satisfy their immediate emotional needs. When they betray you, they act not from strength, but from a desperate need to regulate their inner instability. They assume creating chaos in your life will quiet the chaos within themselves. They think your attachment is stronger than your self-respect. This is their first error. Betrayal rarely looks dramatic at first. It often occurs quietly during an ordinary day, without warning. Viewing you through projection, they assume you are as dependent on them as they are on you. They expect betrayal to freeze you, not awaken you. Their arrogance shows in familiar ways. You find a lie or evidence of another person. You confront them expecting shame or apology. Instead, they stare at you blankly, almost bored. They might say, "You're overreacting," or "I did this because you were distant." They aren't afraid of losing you because they don't believe you are capable of leaving. They see the moment as a negotiation, not a breakup, waiting for you to bargain. But the moment you realize you aren't negotiating is the moment they misjudged you completely. This arrogance is not confidence. It's a symptom of a rigid, defensive mind that cannot handle the reality of other people. Jung described this as unconsciousness, where the person cannot distinguish their desires from external reality. They see you only as an extension of their ego, a reflection of their influence. They cannot imagine a world where you detach yourself. They see betrayal as a way to reset the power dynamic. As intimacy deepens, their inner emptiness returns. Betrayal becomes a spike of emotional voltage, a way to feel important by watching you react. Right after betrayal, they often feel no guilt, only adrenaline. They feel clever, checking their phone, seeing unread messages, imagining themselves as a grandmaster moving pawns. They think they're managing the system of human connection, unaware that the system is quietly collapsing. They are like someone setting fire to the foundation of their house to prove they can withstand the heat, not realizing they are destroying their only shelter. They assume the structure will hold because it held before. They assume you will forgive because you did before. But every structure has a breaking point, and betrayal strikes at the core of trust. Jung emphasized that the psyche seeks balance. When an extreme action occurs, it invites an extreme reaction. They believe they are exempt, thinking their actions are survival tactics or justified by your behavior. This rationalization shields them from immediate guilt, but blinds them to long-term consequences. They think they are moving a piece on a board, but in truth they are tipping the board over. They are psychologically unprepared for the separation they initiate. They think they are discarding you or putting you aside, but they are severing the cord that supplies their emotional oxygen. Their confidence is tragic, the confidence of a sleepwalker believing they can fly, unaware that the ground is rushing up. They focus only on the thrill of betrayal, the secret, the rush of attention, ignoring the catastrophic loss of stability. When a narcissist betrays you, their ego reaches a breaking point. Though they act in self-interest, Jungian psychology shows it is self-sabotage, striking the fragility of their own ego. Their ego isn't resilient. It's swollen, brittle, a defense hiding a lack of connection to their true self. Betrayal triggers misalignment. Jung taught that development means aligning outer actions with inner truth. The narcissist lives a life of division, presenting a false self while suppressing the undeveloped self. Betraying someone who offered genuine love widens this divide. You were their anchor, their source of stability. By attacking it, they weaken their false self. The relief from betraying you feels like strength, like a temporary release, but it fractures their psyche. This fracture leaks. First through behavior, then control. It often shows after periods of distance. They return home nervous, criticizing small things. This isn't just moodiness, it is a structure shaking. They betrayed someone who supported them, and their ego is unstable. They project this chaos outward. The narcissist relies on external validation. By betraying you, they trade deep, consistent validation for shallow, fleeting attention. They think the trade is profitable, valuing intensity over depth. But the ego cannot survive on intensity alone. Betrayal disrupts continuity. To justify it, they rewrite history, convince themselves you were the problem. Jung noted that suppressing truth drains psychic energy, leaving them depleted. They think they're energized, but it's adrenaline and defense mechanisms. This cannot sustain the ego. By fracturing trust, they fracture their own life story. They are the good person who did a bad thing and must project that badness onto you. Every narcissist carries a core wound, a deep sense of inadequacy and shame. Their personality hides it. Betrayal reacts to this wound. Perhaps intimacy became too deep, revealing them. To escape vulnerability, they betray, but this exposes them to shame. They must hide, lie, manipulate. These are signs of a weak ego. A strong ego can face truth, end relationships with integrity. Betrayal admits their ego is too weak to confront reality. With you gone, their stabilizer removed, they drift into delusion. They think they are building themselves, but are removing their own support. Betrayal is a stress test they fail. They rely on the persona, already strained. Control is illusory. They react compulsively, losing traction. The breaking point isn't your discovery, it's the act itself. At that instant, they align with deception, severing connection to self. Stepping into the shadow, Jung warned, grows denser with lies. When the mask cracks, the narcissist can no longer maintain their persona. For them, the persona is identity, not a tool. Betrayal forces an impossible burden. maintain the perfect partner image while hiding treachery. Jung noted that the shadow contains rejected aspects. The brighter the mask, the darker the shadow. Betrayal fuels the shadow. The narcissist experiences insomnia, anxiety, or reckless impulses. Sleep often breaks first. You sense a frantic energy inconsistent with silence. They snap or mutter its work stress, but you feel the lie. Betrayal disrupts the balance they maintained. Fear of exposure, loss, or shame becomes the enemy of the persona. You see the coldness in their eyes, the lack of empathy, the cruelty. You see the persona, the act, fall away. They become exhausted, irritable, intolerant. They blame you for the effort of maintaining the lie. Internal fracturing begins. They are losing control of the narrative, no longer directing the play, peeling away the mask to reveal a void beneath. They shattered the mirror holding their identity. You weren't just a partner, you were a self-object, reflecting their worth and keeping them grounded. By betraying you, they destroy the mirror. Without your reflection, their orientation falters. Even if they devalued you, they relied on your presence to anchor reality. The narcissist creates a shared fantasy. Betrayal pops the bubble.